All right, finally meet the base template. Then I couldn't resist. I just had to go meet the base template before this. But let's go through the base template. There are five blocks in here that you can extend. We'll go through each one of them. There's the title block, which we've talked about in depth. There's a metadata block, which I'll mention that kind of at the end of this little subsection. There's a style block, which is where you put all your CSS um, file links. There's content, and there's a script block. And we've talked quite a bit in detail about the title and the content block. And I've mentioned script block. But let's dive into it, and then just a little bit of a warning. So let's go back to VS Code. All right, so we've been looking at this, and I even said, you can put the blocks in any order in your template here, but because you extended the base.html, it's just going to read whatever's in base.html and put them in that order. Okay. So here's base.html, and let's go like this. All right, so in base.html, we have here, if I kind of highlight block. So we've got a block here, a block here, a block here. That's 3 blocks, and then 4, and then 5. So the first block, and you can put as many blocks in here as you want. You write block, and then you give it a name. Title is just something I wrote. It doesn't necessarily, it has nothing a priori to do with this. You could put, if you want to do my title, and then in block, and then my title, then you can do that, and we'll save that. And so now, notice what happened. So, of course, we're in title. So it just has Flask Commands up here. And it's because index is calling title. And so if I put my name up here, nothing is going to happen because we're adding to the block title, and base.html says I have no idea what title is. But if you called it my title, then base.html says, oh, I know what my title is. And so you can change the name of the block, right? Like, I'm going to put it back to title just because it makes sense. But that's the first. That is the first block. So you call the block whatever you want, and then you start its definition out with block, and call it whatever you want, and then you put stuff in it. So stuff is here, and then you end it. Now, a empty block doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that it's necessarily unfinished. It just means that I have put a marker here so that my templates can put whatever they want in them. And so, this block content, it looks empty, but it's very important, right? Like if I remove block content, oh my goodness, like my whole website would just look blank everywhere. And I would have all these block contents, right? And the extension, it would have nowhere to put this content. So it's, even though it looks empty, it's very important. So it's marking a place. So you've got the title. That's where that title comes from. You've got metadata. We'll talk more about that, but that's where you can put things for like screen readers, and just if there's robots kind of categorizing your web application, that's where you would put that kind of stuff in. Not really for human readers, but just more for data, hence the name. And then there's a style block. And so all these are going in the head, and this is where you include all your CSS. So in here, I've put my Tailwind. Now I'll explain this a little bit later. And then you've got your content block and your script block. And the script block kind of goes at the end. That's just kind of standard so that the page loads, and then you add in your scripts at the end. But if you want something, like if you want something uniform across your web page, for example, I want a uniform navigation bar, then that would go in here. You wouldn't want to put that in you wouldn't want to put your nav bar in every single layout that you make, template that you make. You would want to put it in one place, have it consistent across the website, and that's what would go in base.html. But you want to be a little cautious, and this is what the note that I make in the docs. Just like if you have a JavaScript package that you want to add into your app, that's fine, but you don't necessarily need to just every single JavaScript package. You don't just need to keep adding it in to base.html. You would add it into base.html if you're going to need that JavaScript package over multiple pages, right? But if you have one page that just requires this very one specific JavaScript package, do not add it into base.html. Create a block script in here and move your minus sign down here, because that's for our reason, that's how the spacing works out. And then put in your super, and then put in your additional JavaScript package call. Okay, and that's how I would do this, so that one additional JavaScript package isn't being downloaded for every single page, which is essentially slowing down your web application. So hopefully that made sense. You have a lot of power here, and you want to just kind of be cautious when you add and change things into the base. Just think of this as, this is the blueprint. It's going to affect every single page. What do I really want to put in here? I want to put things in here that need to make the application look uniform. And so a nav bar would definitely go in here, or you would set that up that way, but you wouldn't put a single JavaScript file that is only applied to one page in here. Instead, you would put JavaScript that you are using across all the pages. Okay, so we'll stop here, and then we'll move on to the next section, which is inherit, add, or replace styles. It's kind of what I've been talking about. All right, see you in the next video.